Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. The Brian Craig Show is brought to you by Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing, who will never sell you a roof you do not need. Okay, so things are just, nonstop bad for the Democrats and for Kamala Harris. There's a video from 4 years ago that is making the circuits and is actually right now as we speak is like trending big time on X. And this is Kamala Harris 4 years ago when she was running for president the first time, which you had to watch real quick because she dropped out after that second debate when she was creamed by Tulsi Gabbard. But she went and spoke to Al Sharpton's National Action Network. And she's on a podium, Al Sharpton's podium, and he's next to her, and he asks her a question. It's a really awkward, strange thing, the way they're set up. But she answers. So let's just play. We'll talk about it.
But in the area of reparations for descendants of Africans enslaved, if you elected president, would you sign that bill if it came across your desk?
When I am elected president, I will sign that
bill. Okay, there goes the cackle and everything else. Now she's trying not to do the cackle, and Al Sharpton's laughing too, and they're all excited. The thing about this is, forgetting, as opposed to doing a generic discussion on reparations, which is never going to happen, everyone, pretty much, almost everyone, is descendant of a formerly oppressed group of people. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, if you want to go back, not everybody, but a lot of people are, right? I mean, it's just a ridiculous discussion to have. But here's the thing with Kamala Harris with this, okay? Kamala Harris, who did not grow up in the United States, she, both of her parents were communist Marxist college professors. And let me tell you, college professors are the worst in general. But she was born in Berkeley. When she was 11 or 12, her mother took her to Canada, and she was raised in Canada, which is a socialist country, from 12 to 18. She does not have the American experience. Those are the most important periods in a person's life. I've talked about this a lot, where your whole worldview is shaped. Your feeling of what culture you're a part of is shaped. And she just does not have an American experience. But what this is about with Kamala Harris does something that makes her very dangerous as a politician. She will say and agree to whatever she has to say and agree to at any particular moment in time based on the person she's speaking to or the crowd she's talking to, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what it means is she stands for nothing.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
And if you stand for nothing and you say whatever, this is the childless cat lady thing, okay? The J.D. Vance, poor J.D. Vance, he made this reference like years ago as an offhanded comment, and now his whole life's being defined by it, right? But the childless cat lady, what that means is it's not a dig against people that don't have kids. Not everybody has kids. It's a dig about people like Kamala Harris who are at the upper levels of power running the country that don't have children. And what I've been telling you guys since this came up a few weeks ago is since Kamala does not have kids, she has no family. I know she's married with stepkids. It doesn't count, okay? She doesn't care about the future. She cares about elevating herself right here and right now.
Yeah.
Today. Then tomorrow she's going to worry about that day. She's not even thinking about the next day, okay? And all she's thinking about is, how can I get through today with what I want to today? It's a totally selfish existence.
It is. And I think when you don't have children, and I have friends who've never had children, and they're, my age in their 50s, and they still go out partying every night.
Yeah, they act like
and
kids.
on the weekends, like they're still in college. Children, you can't explain unless you have one.
Yeah.
They give you it's no longer about you when you have a kid. It's all I can tell you. It's no longer about you. Your life completely changes.
Yeah.
Your whole existence is about making sure your child is safe, happy and healthy, if you're a good parent, everything you work for now revolves around the child, making sure they have the right clothes and school supplies and this and that. All of your needs become secondary to your child.
Even when they're adults, you worry about them more.
Yeah, you make sure your child gets food and eats and gets a proper lunch
Before
and
you
this
do.
and that. Yeah, your child comes first if you are the right kind of parent. If you are somebody who has never had children, and I agree with you,
Or a stepmother.
stepchildren are not the same thing. I have a stepmother, and she's a nice person, and I love her. But I've known her since I was 7, and I can tell you, her kids definitely came first. And when I was a kid, I resented that. But now that I'm an adult, I understand it and actually respect it, because she always put her children first, because those were her children. And my brother and I were, in her mind, not that she didn't love us, but we were not her priority. And
and by the way, that's true with all step parents,
right? And now I respect her for that. But at the time, of course, I resented it when I was growing up. But I didn't understand, not until I had my own kid, and then I realized, well, if I got remarried, my daughter would be more important to me than somebody else's
Exactly.
kid. That's because she's my kid.
It's ridiculous to think
That's
of it.
the way it is.
Yeah.
But when you grow up and you have no children, and again, stepchildren are not the same thing unless you raise them from like infancy and you are with them all the way, then it might be a little different.
Yeah, and this thing with
when you
Kamala,
marry somebody when they have like teenage kids, it's not the same thing, and you have your worldview.
She does not have kids. Kids don't count.
Your worldview is very self-centered, because there's really nobody else to worry about and think about.
And
in those
Kamala, now this will sound crazy to some of you, but I think those of you who think what I'm about to say, if you think it sounds crazy, if you think about it in a day or two, I think you'll agree that I'm right about this. Okay, okay. So I'm going to explain this to you, how I view Kamala Harris. I view Kamala Harris just like I view Stormy Daniels. Stormy Daniels does a lot of crazy things and says a lot of crazy things, none of which are true. Okay, and the reason she does that is as a porn actress, which are sex workers. Okay, strippers, porn actresses. We'll update it. The OnlyFans girls, that a lot of these conservative guys like to constantly do podcasts with, like Michael Knowles and others, which is very bizarre to me. Sex workers like Stormy Daniels, OnlyFans girls, strippers and stuff, they say and make accusations and make claims that are ridiculous. And the reason they do is because they are exploited, abused girls who are in survival mode. And they are doing whatever they can do to survive. They're just basic survivalists, right? It's a sad existence. Kamala Harris is in survival mode all the time, okay? We all, she's not a porn actress. She's not a stripper. She's not an OnlyFans girl. But she started out with a sugar daddy, right? Willie Brown. And someone who is a sugar baby with a sugar daddy, that is like a Stormy Daniels type person. Their whole life, believe me, he wasn't the last sugar daddy.
I'm just curious how she ended up like this, because she's clearly stupid. But
sugar daddies.
But hold on though, she had educated parents. So maybe she has daddy issues in general, because her parents got divorced and she left her mom left the country.
Very possible.
When my parents got divorced, I was 7. And like 6, 7-ish. And I asked my mom not that long ago, like, why didn't you go back to Canada with us and leave and go back home? Because, my mom left her country and her family and everything to marry my father, and then, whatever. And then 14 years later, they got a divorce. And I said to her, why didn't you go back home, after the divorce? Because she was just to become an American citizen, like in 76. She said, well, I wasn't allowed to, because I could not leave the country because your father, and I had joint custody and stuff. So I'm wondering how it worked out where Kamala's mother
could leave the country,
was able to leave the country.
The dad let her.
Exactly.
For her whole life
so
growing up.
Clearly she has daddy issues because she's not much older than I am, 6 years. So I'm assuming the laws were pretty much the same.
Yes.
And my mom could not leave America because my father would not have allowed it to happen. That is something a father would have to sign off on. I don't even think she could have left the state and moved to California without his permission.
And you know what? Kamala Harris's dad was not at the Democrat convention when she got the nomination. You're telling me,
he's still alive.
So she has
I think it's
daddy issues.
Yes, I agree. Which a lot of, since you're making the comparison to sex workers,
well, yeah,
a lot of sex workers have those issues too.
See, Kathy, I know people might think of, what do you mean? It's like, she has sugar daddy, at least one that we know of publicly. Yeah. That's the same type of thing.
But there's a certain type of person.
Yes.
And it's not just about money.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the only factor.
Yeah, I think
involved.
You're right. Because he was much older than her, too.
Right. He was a lot older.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he clearly guided her and helped her in her career. There's no doubt about that. Well, there's no way she got Kamala, to where she is on her own. She's too stupid.
Kamala isn't the only woman that has all kinds of issues. This is Rosie O'Donnell, and she's talking about the assassination attempt on President Trump. She put this up online, this video. So this is just insane. She's a crazy person. Rosie O'Donnell, listen.
Now, I don't know what happened that day, but I don't think it was a bullet that hit him. I don't. I think it was maybe a fragment of something but I don't know. Without a scar to be seen, yet blood all over it. Look at the photos of him right after with his fist pumping. A normal reaction, right? To almost being assassinated. There's something really hinky about the whole thing. And I don't know what it is, but I am saying this. For people who go on conspiracy theories for endless cycles, deep dives, how come this isn't getting a deep dive? How come people are just like, look, his ear is normal now? Yeah. Wait, he's not an octopus. He doesn't regrow his limbs, his ears, his nose or whatever. You don't regrow. We're humans. You don't regrow your arms. Or your ears.
Okay. So she's acting as if he wasn't even maybe shot at. I'm unclear, but the reason that Rosie
Trump lives rent free in her head.
She has a history of things, right? She was involved in a lot of 9/11 conspiracies too. But the thing with her, the reason she has this crazy theory about President Trump and the assassination attempt is because she hates him so much. Yeah. And if someone tried to assassinate him and think about this, guys. In her mind, if someone really was trying to assassinate President Trump, that gives him credibility, political credibility. Like he's a force to be reckoned with that is controversial that someone tried to assassinate him. And she thinks getting shot gives him credibility on that matter. Plus, the way that he behaved after he got shot, which he did get shot, was so heroic, she can't view him in a heroic way either.
I think also it portrays him, in her mind, as a victim. Victim of political hate.
One of her people.
A victim, and liberals like to be
Trump
victims.
haters. Yeah.
We're not allowed to be victims. We inflict the pain. They're the ones who take the pain when it's really the opposite. They're the ones inflicting pain on everybody in the country. But in her mind, Trump can't be a victim of anything. He cannot be.
He's a victimizer.
He's a victimizer. Exactly. Mind. So it's not possible for him. And I don't think Trump sees himself as a victim, but he is a victim of a crime. I mean, he was...
Well, so tried to murder him.
Exactly. I mean, you are a victim of a crime if somebody tries to kill you. And she cannot wrap her head around the fact that he was left vulnerable and that somebody tried to take him out. Well, first of all...
And he acted like a hero when he got hit.
Right. You can't regrow parts. That's not necessarily true. I think your liver can actually regrow. From what I've been told.
His ear is scarred.
And your ear has cartilage. And I had a catheter removed out of my chest once, and I had a hole about an inch deep in my chest for 6 weeks that I had to get packed and treated
crazy.
and everything. And it because I had an infection in that area and they had to scrape out everything. And I had an inch deep gap in my chest. It was about 2 inches wide that my mom had to pack every day. Do you remember this? For 2 months when Emily was little. Well, my tissue regrew. And there's a little scar there, but all that tissue regrew back over. So tissue does regrow. So if you get your ear damaged, like if you get your ear pierced even, and you don't wear earrings, those holes will grow back in. This is what happened to me. I stopped wearing earrings and now my holes grew back in. I can't wear earrings anymore.
Yeah, ears
tissue does regenerate and heal. So I don't know what the hell she's talking about.
He wasn't shot bad enough for her.
He was shot
to be considered being shot.
He was shot on the tip of his ear, okay? But it was enough to cause massive bleeding, and he was shot at. It doesn't matter. Even if he did not get hit directly, say he didn't get hit, he was still shot at.
That's exactly right.
And they still aimed at his head. Say he turned his head a little bit more, and it just whizzed past his ear. Okay, he still was shot at, but that little spot of ear that got shot is the proof and the evidence that people need to prove it.
Yeah,
because if it had not touched him, then people would say it didn't come close.
And she can't.
But he was still shot at.
So she's saying he wasn't shot bad enough to be considered being shot. And the way that he acted wasn't normal afterwards. It wasn't normal. Most people would cower down and be hiding and everything else.
Trump's not
yelling
normal.
in pain. He's a superhuman. He's
clearly
very brave.
Cannot move past him. She just cannot. And I don't hear him mention. He did mention her the other day when he was talking to Moms of Liberty. I think he mentioned her name. I think, or somebody. But he really doesn't talk about her anymore. She's very irrelevant. And but her whole life revolves around this man, and that's pretty sad. She hasn't been able to move on past it.
No. Now, did you see this thing with Justin Trudeau and this worker at a campaign? This is beautiful, guys. Listen to this. This is crazy. I'm going to play the audio. Trudeau, who's a real beaut. I mean, he's the worst, right? He's at some political stop. He's speaking with workers, and this guy just rips into him in a very clever way. And this is classic stuff. This guy's probably in a lot of trouble. In Canada, they don't have free speech like we have in America.
Oh, yeah, he'll be in trouble for sure.
And I've seen videos where the police have shown up to people's houses in Canada for posts on social media.
Yeah, this guy's going to be on a list.
This guy humiliated Trudeau like I've never seen a leader of a major country humiliated in front of everybody. This is beautiful. Listen.
Thank you for your hard work.
I can bring some for my kids, dude.
Hey, the 25% tariffs we just brought in on Chinese skills can help you out.
That's going to keep my job, Dad.
Yeah.
What about the 40% taxes I'm paying, and I don't have a doctor?
The $400 million in the invest in your car means you're going to have a job for
I think you're only here for another year. We won't see you around probably another year.
No, that's what elections are for.
That's right.
And I look forward to everyone exercising the right to vote.
Yep.
The basic choice, we're going to invest in you and your job.
I don't believe you for a second.
Dental care? Do you know anyone who got dental care?
Yeah, I pay for it myself.
Okay.
We're like 3 years behind.
You have a job and coverage?
Yeah,
we got
four people in my family. Every time we go for a dental visit, it's costing me about $50 in my pocket per person.
Okay.
Why? I have a good job. You're not really doing anything for us, Justin.
Well, actually, we just invested so 500,000 people haven't been to the dentist. Got to go to the dentist over the past few months.
Probably like my neighbor that doesn't go to work because she's lazy.
She
just doesn't go to work. She lives the same life I do.
Most Canadians try to stick up for each other, and that's what we're going to keep doing.
Yeah.
Good luck and take care of your family, sir.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right.
Have a nice day.
Have a good day, sir. Good night.
Oh, my goodness. I'd love to have been in the car with Trudeau after that.
Well, I have to take issue with that worker. He goes to the dentist. He's bitching about $50. My mom's got to get dental work. It's going to cost her $10,000.
Well, she's not in Canada anymore.
Well, I'm saying
pay
though,
for it here.
He should be grateful. He's only spending $50 at the dentist. You don't have coverage for dental work like that in this country.
No.
People need to understand.
No.
You can buy dental insurance, but it's not included in health insurance.
And those of you outside the United States, like when people are retired, senior citizens, they have Medicare, which you pay into, which is their medical's covered. But
Medicare doesn't cover dental.
That's exactly right. There's no dental coverage for senior citizens.
Like I have
country.
a dental insurance plan for us, and it costs $200 a year, but it really just gives you a discount of about 30%, and that's about the best you can get. But like I said, my mom has had this cap and on her teeth for 50 years, since the 70s, and she's trying to save this caps. She got 3 teeth capped in the back, and they got to get replaced. And she's been going to different dentists to get a different quote, and they're all like, it's about $10,000. Is that nuts?
That's crazy.
So she's got to pay $10,000 to fix 3 freaking teeth
in her 80s.
And I don't like Trudeau, but this guy's bitching about $50 of dental work. I mean,
he's complained about more. I'll give you that on the dental work.
Yeah, I mean, but that's, I guess they're used to just getting everything.
But this guy here though, he's overtaxed because he's working, and what he's talking about is his freeloading neighbor who's lazy and doesn't work, gets everything covered.
Well, I guess he figures since he gets taxed so much, he should pay nothing. Of the dentist. So
exactly,
as much as they're used to,
as much as they're taxed. That's a socialist country. But I'll tell you this: there's, what this guy did with Trudeau, it's all about Trump. Trump has united the English-speaking world.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Against these globalists like Trudeau and Kamala and the ones in Europe and everything else. It is in Australia. It is really united. He's united the English-speaking world. We have so many people that listen to this program in Australia, Canada, and the UK. And
and they love Trump.
Oh, they do. They do. And this guy here, the least of his problems will be the dental insurance. He's got to pay $50 after Trudeau's done with him because he humiliated him, and this has gone viral worldwide.
Didn't something happen with that woman that was in charge of the truckers?
I think they put some of those trucker organizers, they arrested some of them, if I remember correctly. They put them in Canadian gulags. Yeah, they arrested some of them because they organized
that. I wouldn't, look what happened here even with Joe the plumber.
They destroyed his life.
I mean, we have free speech here, but they destroyed, and he's dead now, but they destroyed that guy.
And look at the J6 guys.
Yeah, I mean, these people are vicious. And
look at Trump, what they're doing to Trump.
If you cross them, they'll just F you up.
Yeah, they will.
They go gangster on you.
Yeah, they will. Now, I want to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. And if you would like to support the program, one of the many ways to do that is to become a Patreon supporter. And if you're a Patreon supporter, you have access to commercial-free editions of all of our podcast episodes. And there's other perks and benefits too. You have access to our Patreon page where Kathy and I both post things there that no one else sees on top of the commercial-free podcast episodes. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every episode, which I'm going to share with you the names of our top Patreon supporters in just a moment. But if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there is a link to our Patreon page in the description of this and every episode of the program. These are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, K-Mac, Alice, Richard, Maria in Texas, David, Heather, Rob and Trish Wilkerson, LeeZep, Shawna, Constance, George, Brandon, John S., and Christy R. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you all for your support. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Tim Walz really messed up big time over the last few days. We're going to get into that and a bunch more right after this.
When you're shopping online, there's only one place to shop, and that's MajorMarketMingle.com. MajorMarketMingle.com has something in every category tailored to your unique taste. Whether you're revamping your car with top-notch car accessories or accessorizing your wardrobe with the latest bags and wallets, they've got you covered. From electronics, organizers, car care essentials, stylish hats, to sleek sunglasses, they have all that and more. MajorMarketMingle.com is tailored just for you. Visit the store right now at MajorMarketMingle.com. View the inventory. You will be impressed. Start shopping right now at MajorMarketMingle.com and you'll discover the best deals on everything you need. You'll also find great gifts too. MajorMarketMingle.com, your one-stop shop for everything. MajorMarketMingle.com. Have you ever dreamed of ditching your 9-to-5 job and hitting the open road? Isaac and Kim did just that, and they share everything they learned on the way on their podcast, Full Time to Travel Time, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. In Full Time to Travel Time, Isaac and Kim take you on their wild road tripping adventures across the United States. After 6 years of nonstop travel, these seasoned explorers have visited 40 out of the 63 national parks, all while building a successful business that now mostly runs without them. They went from full-time workaholics to full-time adventurers, and they're here to share how you can do it too. Full-Time to Travel Time is on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Tune in and hear Isaac and Kim's fun stories, expert tips, and inspiring journeys from the daily grind to the great outdoors. Whether you're a weekend traveler or dream of a life on the road, Full-Time to Travel Time is the podcast for you. Start listening right now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, because life's too short to stay in one place. Step back in time to old New York City, where one kosher deli served up more than just great food. It dished out stories that span generations. From author Norman K. Nelson comes the heartwarming and humorous book, The Salami Cutters of Washington Heights, available on Amazon. Picture this: early 1900s New York City. Morris and Al, fresh off the boat from Russia, set up shop on the corner of 170th Street and Broadway in Washington Heights. They're armed with their big personalities, a boatload of relatives, and a dream. They knew one thing for sure: they were going to make it no matter what. The Salami Cutters of Washington Heights is a collection of stories that takes you behind the counter of Nelson's Restaurant, the beloved kosher deli that became a neighborhood mainstay for over 70 years. These stories are packed with fun, laughter, secret family recipes, and colorful anecdotes about the people who made the place unforgettable. Family, friends, and staff, as well as the crazy New Yorkers who left their indelible mark. Don't miss out on these stories that have been shared around the Nelson family table for decades. The Salami Cutters of Washington Heights, from author Norman K. Nelson, is available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. Take a bite out of history. Order your copy right now.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy, and of course, the Brian Craig Show podcast is brought to you by Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing, who will never sell you a roof you do not need. Okay, lots going on. Kamala Harris is her campaign. You know, a lot of times when a campaign or something is about ready to fall apart, they say it's on life support. Her campaign is coded. It's beyond life support. It cannot be resuscitated. There has been over.
Well, that's coded means you try to resuscitate,
and you can't.
Maybe they're
it's done.
trying.
It's done. No, there's nothing that can be done. It's over.
Yeah.
There has been 3 things that have happened in the last 24 hours that are devastating. We're going to talk about all of them. We're going to start with Tim Walz. Okay, 2 of the 3 involve Tim Walz, and then Kamala Harris not only has ended her campaign with this stupid thing that she did, she's ended her political future, at least in this country. Maybe she could go back to Canada and be the hero of Montreal or something. So, okay. They found 6 dead hostages in Gaza over the weekend. One of them is a U.S. citizen. On top of the fact that Israel is an ally of the United States, not Hamas, which is Iran, okay? And Tim Walz was at some campaign event somewhere, and he had like a fruit smoothie or something in his hand.
No, he was eating ice cream like
Is
Biden.
that ice cream with a straw
I guess
in it?
all jerks like vanilla ice cream.
I don't know, he's got a straw in it.
It's like soft serve, like yogurt, I think.
You have soft serve ice cream with a straw? Well, Tim Walz...
it's a straw or a spoon?
It's a straw. Maybe the straw is Hunter's. I don't know. Could be Hunter's straw, and he just put it in the ice cream to cover it up.
I guess jerks like vanilla icy desserts.
Yeah. So anyway, Tim Walz is at this campaign event with Hunter Biden's straw and a cup of something, yogurt, ice cream, smoothie. It doesn't matter.
No, he's still a jerk.
But they asked Tim Walz about the 6 hostages that were found dead in Gaza. And remember, one of them is an American citizen. Listen to this, and we'll talk about it.
What's your reaction to the 6 hostages being found dead in Gaza?
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, and now when that lady reporter, who's unidentified, asked him that question, he was looking right at her. He heard everything she said.
I promise you, those people cheering, those are people that are part of their campaign that travel around with. They bring their own audience with them. You know what I mean? Trump doesn't do that. They bring their own fans with them to cheer them on wherever they go. Yeah. Trump doesn't do that. People
like a laugh
just
track.
show up.
I
mean, I promise you, they've got like probably 3 or 4 busloads of people, or they bring them in and they pay them to be there because America hates these people. They're a disaster.
Well, so, I don't know who would be cheering Tim Walz, but...
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't make sense.
So they ask him about the 6 dead hostages. One of them is an American. He's looking right at the reporter when she asks the question, and then he just blows it off. Let me tell you, there are moments in every campaign that change everything. There have been multiple moments in this one. This weekend's been the worst for them. But for him to act like it's no big deal that an American hostage was murdered by Hamas, that's it for him. Not only should he be fired from the campaign by Kamala, she won't do it, he should be removed from office as governor of Minnesota. I don't know what process they have to impeach and remove from office a governor of Minnesota. Every state's different. I don't even know what the rules would be for that in Florida, but I'll tell you this. If that was Ron DeSantis, I'd be physically ill. He's our governor. I already am disgusted by DeSantis, but I'd be physically. But here's the thing with that. Okay, the reason he had that reaction is because the Democrats, Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, and the Democrats are so desperate to have the jihadi support behind them in Michigan. New polls came out in Michigan. One of the polls has Trump ahead in Michigan, and they think Michigan's one of the toss-up battleground states, so they think they have to have any hope of winning, which they don't. They've got to win Michigan. And the Kamala Harris, Tim Walz entire campaign in Michigan is built around the jihadi vote, the Muslim vote inside Michigan. And if he shows any remorse for an American who was murdered by Hamas, it might cost them the Hamas supporters in Michigan from voting. So 13 American service personnel were killed, and they invited Trump to go to Arlington National.
Well, they were killed because of Biden and Harris.
That's right.
And their pull out of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And that's, important to know here.
And they invited President Trump to go to this ceremony at Arlington, and immediately Kamala Harris started going after Trump, that he had politicized it, he violated the rules, maybe even the law, with having cameras there. They even came up with some story that his staff had gotten into a physical altercation.
Yep, they made that up.
With Arlington Memorial staffers, which I don't know if that means military honor guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier or somebody from I don't know what that means. But that was all untrue. And then
I just can't believe how dishonest.
Everything about them's dishonest.
I mean, have Democrats always been this way? I feel like that this is, since Trump's been in office, that they feel whatever they say is completely justified because they have to do whatever they have to do to win because of Trump. I mean, they are not even being clever about their lies or trying to, hide them or make them even somewhat believable. It's like they're lying and they're not thinking it through. You know what I mean? If they were lying before Trump, they were much more clever about it, and maybe social media and X, now belonging to Elon Musk, is helping this. But they are just telling blatant lies. They tried to spread this story, like you said, that there was a confrontation at Arlington.
A physical. They said there was a physical
That's
altercation.
come out that was fake news. That was false. And then Kristen Welker.
Well, you're jumping up. You're jumping down a little head. So yes, we'll get to. So with the Gold Star families. So Friday, this story started like Kamala Harris. How could he do this? He violated the law. Then yesterday, late in the day, the Gold Star families released individual videos from about half of the families, okay, saying they invited President Trump there, that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden murdered their children, they're disgraced. And then they gave some details, Kathy. I was shocked about this. They said that none of them were called or visited by Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, including when they brought the remains back. And then today, Kristen Welker was on Meet the Press, and I believe Kristen Welker told a lie, and knowingly told a lie, because.
But these things are getting fact checked in real time, so I don't understand why they keep lying. Don't they understand that this is really making her look bad?
Well, because
the lies are just every day there's a new lie, and everybody's knows it's happening. And now people are flipping from blue to red because the lies are so obvious and so frequent.
The reason that is, I'll play the Kristen Welker clip in a second, but the reason that is they live in a bubble. They don't watch what we watch. They don't follow what we follow. They think everybody is getting their news and information from MSNBC and CNN. They don't understand that everything they're doing is being debunked in almost real time on Twitter, X. They just don't understand it. They're starting to now.
I would hope so.
So Kristen Welker, this is her today on Meet the Press.
And honored the sacrifice of those young men and women. But she hasn't. She never has spoken to them or taken a meeting with them.
Well, they did meet with them during the dignified transfer. They were with them at the dignified transfer.
Her and Joe Biden's incompetence, those 13 Americans were killed in Afghanistan.
Okay, see, that is 100% false, because the Gold Star families in their video said that they were not there. So the way that it used to be, okay, the way it used to be before Elon Musk had bought Twitter and turned it into X, and before there was social media and everything, a new news cycle didn't really start on Monday. It started on Sunday with these Sunday morning shows, Meet the Press, Face the Nation, This Week with whoever they have in there. Those shows on Sunday would have politicians on. They would talk about all the big issues. And then the news cycle on Monday would kick off with whatever happened on the Sunday shows.
Right.
So Welker there on Meet the Press, she's in this old school of thinking that if she said, it's like wishful thinking. She's trying to manifest it. If she says this propaganda lie that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden met with the Gold Star families when the remains came back from Afghanistan,
but
that the news will report it on Monday.
She might really believe that. I think these people just read what they're told.
I don't think so.
I don't think she investigates anything or looks into anything. I think she reads the teleprompter. She reads what she's told to read, and I think she believes the lies they feed her. That might be news to her.
The Gold Star families saying they weren't there came out long before she did that interview. So I don't know how she could be that clueless. If she is, she is. But in the old days,
like you said, the bubble.
Whoever hosted Meet the Press, whether back to the Tim Russert and all that stuff, whatever they said on Sunday would begin the news cycle on Monday. So in Welker's world, saying that they met with the Gold Star families, that'll take over on Monday.
Right.
Everybody will be talking about that. If it gets debunked, the false story is the first story. That's what people will remember. That's how they operate. That's why Robert Reich, who was the labor secretary for Bill Clinton, is calling for Elon Musk's arrest, today. And that
they're panicked.
What's happened here, this is the first presidential election, season and election where the left and the establishment have not controlled the media, because last time the overlords of Twitter would shut down everything like they did on the laptop, right? All these things that we're talking about today, the Gold Star families, Trump retweeted all those Gold Star family videos. That clip I played
it's very damaging. There's 8 of them at least, very damaging.
That clip I played of Tim Walz about the question, all that stuff. the old overlords during the Dorsey day of Twitter would have silenced all of that.
Yes.
And blocked anyone who retweeted all this stuff.
Yeah,
it wouldn't
all
have been
those
out
videos are on X, and you're right. If Dorsey was there, you would see none of this. But Elon Musk is helping Trump. That's what's really freaked him out. Is
he's endorsed Trump.
He's endorsed Trump. He's trying to help Trump. So he's really going to let this stuff get out there, and people are seeing the truth. Do you know somebody is putting signs all over Denver, real street signs? I just saw this today. And it says, blacks must get to the back of the bus, and illegals move to the front of the line.
Yeah.
Or something like that. They're putting that all over Denver, somebody, and they're trying to find the person doing it. Obviously, it's somebody who's not happy about the illegals, I would think. And the Democrats want to get those done. You know, it's just amazing to me that the Democrats are full throttle trying to destroy this country. And if you don't realize that, you need to have your head examined, because there is no other explanation as to why they are allowing all of this horrible stuff to happen and why they absolutely won't correct it. And Adam Schiff, by the way, went on TV. He said Kamala is against fracking. He wanted to make it clear that even though she just did the interview, that she's for it. He came out and said she's against it. So which is it? And we obviously know she's not going to be in charge. She's a puppet. She'll do whatever they tell her. She'll say whatever they tell her. She's an empty suit. But he wanted to clarify that. So if you're in Pennsylvania, please know that she is against fracking.
Yeah. Now, I want to take a moment to tell everyone about this incredible Labor Day special going on at MyPillow.com. This is just a Labor Day weekend special, and it's on the MyPillow mattresses. Now, Kathy and I got a MyPillow mattress about 2 weeks ago, and you're going to get a better deal than we got. We got it for 50% off, okay, with the promo code Kane. But for Labor Day weekend, Mike Lindell on the MyPillow mattresses, 50% off plus another $100 off over that. So you get 50% off with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, at MyPillow.com, plus another $100 off the mattresses at MyPillow.com. That's an amazing deal. That's the lowest price ever on the mattress. So you're going to get the mattress for $100 off more than we got. And I got to tell you, Mike Lindell, every time we get one of his new products or one of his products that's new to us, it amazes me how much my sleep has improved, because every time I get a Mike Lindell, whatever it is, the sheets, the mattress topper, the pillows, I'm like, okay, this is the best sleep I've ever gotten. How can it get better? And then we get the mattress, and I'm sleeping deeper than I ever have. And I'll tell you, we've had this mattress 2 weeks. I was telling you, I'm really going into deep REM sleep. I'm having dreams, and I'm waking up and remembering them.
Yeah, that is true. You have been telling me that ever since we got this mattress, this is crazy. And you'll tell me now, I'm having dreams and I'm remembering them for the first time.
Yeah.
In a long time.
That's how deep I'm sleeping.
Yeah. So. I think if you have back problems too, which a lot of us do, it's good to get and to make sure your bed is as comfortable as possible.
So the MyPillow mattresses for Labor Day weekend only, okay, 50% off plus another $100 off on top of that with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at MyPillow.com. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to elevate your health and your wellness? Look no further than NutrixU, the ultimate destination for top quality supplements and personal care products that are designed to help you look and feel your very best. Whether you're pushing the limits at the gym, striving to have radiant, beautiful skin, or just looking to boost your overall health, from their powerful fat burners to specialized supplements, you can revolutionize yourself from the inside out with their premium protein and collagen collection. You'll experience stronger hair, healthier skin, and enhanced joint health with their expertly formulated products. You'll feel your best with each and every step. Their personal care and beauty collection is designed to enhance your natural shine and will help you radiate confidence every day. Founded by a father and his son, they're dedicated to elevate every day, combining the power of nature and science to bring you the best in health and wellness. Whether you're a busy professional, a dedicated athlete, or seeking a healthier lifestyle, lifestyle, NutrixU will support you with trusted, effective supplements. If you're ready to fuel your workout, have peak performance, unleash your potential, maximize gains, and push your limits, visit NutrixU.com. That's NutrixU, and take your wellness journey to the next level. NutrixU.com. Are you looking for a boost of inspiration and empowerment on your drive to or home from work? Then add the Eugene Hamilton Podcast to your podcast playlist. It's your go-to source for stories that elevate, strategies that empower, and motivation that transforms. Host Eugene Hamilton shares inspiring stories as well as transformative strategies that are designed to unlock your full potential. Whether you're looking to laugh, reflect, or elevate to new levels in your life, the Eugene Hamilton Podcast is for you. From finding gratitude during tough times to turning losses into successes and uncovering the truth about imposter syndrome, each episode is packed with actionable insights that will help you navigate life's challenges. The Eugene Hamilton Podcast is on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and wherever you get your podcasts. Elevate your life and start listening to the Eugene Hamilton Podcast, because your journey to greatness starts now. The Eugene Hamilton Podcast on all podcast platforms. Are you on the fence about Christianity? Do you struggle to find strength in your faith? If you answered yes, you're not alone. Men of God and Preparing the Way on Spotify with host Matt, Alex, and Jake discuss the challenges men face when walking in faith in today's world. From battling temptations and overcoming pride to finding God's grace in a chaotic world, Men of God and Preparing the Way covers all that and more. Each episode is real talk, sharing relatable stories as well as actionable steps to help you strengthen your relationship with Jesus. Recent episodes include Giving Up Our Pride for God's Grace, The Battle with Lust and Temptation. These are conversations every man needs to hear. Don't wait. Add Men of God and Preparing the Way to your Spotify playlist right now and share the podcast on all your social media so your friends can tune in too. It's time to strengthen your faith and walk confidently with Jesus. Men of God and Preparing the Way on Spotify.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, did you see that poll that Mark Cuban did? He did a poll.
Oh, yeah, I saw this.
Mark Cuban hates Trump. He's very threatened by him. And he did a personal poll on his page on X, and he said, what kind of personality would you want your children to have when they grow up, Trump's or Kamala's? And Trump won by it was 78% to 23%.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I'm sure he's scratching his head, his big fat head, wondering, how did that happen? I mean, did he really put that up thinking that people would want to be like Kamala?
Mm-hmm.
See, the country really has woken up. It's amazing to see. This is why you never give up.
Oh, yeah.
Because if Trump had never run, none of this would be happening, and his legacy would be very different in the minds of a lot of people. He has been able to flip millions in the last, I'd say, since he was shot.
Yeah.
I think that was a real wake-up moment for this country. And that coupled with Elon Musk and X and Trump being on X again, it's like everybody's eye, it's like the scales are falling off everybody's eyes and they're seeing what's really going on.
Yeah, Roger Stone over the weekend, he pointed something out, and I know some others have talked about this, but I didn't think about it too much because so much was going on. But now that Roger Stone's talking about it, and it's been weeks later, Roger Stone was talking over the weekend about how CNN doesn't carry the Trump rallies, but they happen to carry the one where he got shot. And if you remember,
that's interesting.
When the feds broke into Roger Stone's house, they brought CNN with them. Remember? And that's, so he's got to think about that. And CNN is obviously in collusion with the government since they were in on the break-in of his house, on the raid on Roger Stone's house for his arrest. So I think that's a pretty good point Roger Stone made. I've been telling you guys, CNN to CIA. CNN to CIA. They are the deep state. And
absolutely,
you know, the other thing about that rally that really gets me, a lot of things do, but one thing is how Trump came out exactly on time on the dot, which he never does. I always have the rallies on right side, and they'll tell you Trump expected to speak at such and such time. And when that time comes, I'm usually I got it on and I'm walking around the house doing stuff because I figure he's not going to be on for 20 minutes to an hour, right? And usually I assume what happens is he gets held up backstage because of all the people he's got to take photographs with, he does interviews with, all the dignitaries and the local politicians. But for this one, he came out right on time on the dot. And I don't ever remember Trump coming out on time on the dot
Ever.
at any event, including the ones I've been to in person.
I noticed that.
It's almost like he had to be out there at a certain time.
Like a week later, you and I were talking, and it was just an incredible realization.
Yeah.
That, wow, that was like the first rally that he's actually been exactly on time. He's always late by at least 20, 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Something happens or he's, meeting people. But he was right on the dot. And I wonder if that's realization has occurred to him too, that they were able to get him out there on time.
I'm sure it has.
I wonder if that's occurred to him at this point. Like, that's interesting.
I'm sure
you know what I mean? Like, it was like set up.
A lot has been
to be there at a specific time.
A lot's been made over the last few days that Trump talked about the government paying for the IVF treatments, which is the artificial insemination, right? That is a very expensive thing to do, and it doesn't always work. And there's a lot of
IVF,
and there's a lot of criticism over this. Now, the IVF, there's two things. One, the left are trying to act as if pro-life people are against the IVF. Some are. So Catholics, Kathy and I are Catholic, but I'm not against the artificial insemination, but a lot of Catholics are, and other Christians are too. Okay, but to me, the problem with that has always been is when these people get the embryos frozen and they're in a freezer somewhere.
Right.
And they keep them sometimes for years.
Yeah, they'll freeze multiple eggs.
Yeah, and then someone will get divorced or someone will die, and then they'll destroy them. That's where there's a controversy.
Here's the thing. I know the Catholic Church is against it, but because they believe life begins at conception.
Yeah.
So, and I do too.
It does.
So what they do, I think, is they don't just freeze the eggs. They, like you said, they fertilize those eggs.
Embryos. Yeah, they're embryos.
And make embryos out of them. And then that is a life.
And then sometimes they destroy them.
Yeah. So that's a problem.
That's a problem.
It's a problem. And Trump has come out 2 things this week. He has come out for, which, some people might not be thrilled about. But what I say to you is look at the big picture. Okay. What's the alternative? And try to keep in mind, Trump is trying to appeal to a broader range of people here, so he can win. I'm not saying he doesn't believe what he's saying, but I think he's surrounding himself with other people, and he's trying to be more open-minded. So he's open to the IVF, even though I don't agree the government should pay for that. I'm sorry. I don't want to pay for that. And he said that, but that's, that's it. But I'm not going to not vote for the guy. But I don't agree with him on that. But IVF, I don't really know where I stand on that right now. I really don't know too much about it. I have people I know that have used it to have children. The other thing is he has come out in support of legalizing marijuana in Florida.
That's not exactly. Well, let's finish with the IVF, then we'll get to that. The IVF, I've never really had an opinion on it. I haven't thought too much about it. It's become a controversy now. But pro-life people, for the most part, are not against artificial insemination. It's the storing of embryos and all of that. Now, this thing about the government paying for it, and Trump said in the speech the other night, he says, we need to have more babies. In this country right now, our birth rate is just slightly above the death rate, okay? The American birth rate is at one of its lowest levels ever. Everyone thought there was going to be this huge baby boom during all the lockdown period. The opposite occurred, and the death rate and the birth rate are almost equal, which is how a civilization ends. And the illegals are over here having babies and everything else. So when he says we have to start having more babies, we do. The people that are of bearing years, both male and female, right? The ones that make the babies, for the most part. Mm-hmm. With all this gender stuff that's been going on, half of them are gay. Of the other half, a third of them are some other gender. People that are of the age where pregnancies occur mostly, a very small percentage of them are having the kind of sex that results in pregnancies.
But do you think that the government and insurance companies should be I don't like that word, mandated to pay for this? It is an elective procedure. It is not something, we adopted our daughter, and when you do that, we went through a lawyer. We had to pay lawyer fees. That's how it works. When you use a lawyer, you pay the lawyer fee. That's it. That's all you have to do. But it's not cheap. But the government didn't pay for that.
Yeah.
We paid for that. Our family, we all helped, and everybody helped, and we paid for the lawyer fees for the adoption. We had to go to court and everything. It was like a big process. When you adopt foster children, the government pays for that, and they give you a monthly stipend.
Which we did not do that. We didn't.
No, we did not. Our daughter was a private adoption. But we do know people that have adopted through the foster care system, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing to do, and not always the easiest thing to do. A lot of those kids are born with drug problems already. We know one family in particular, they've adopted 4, which is amazing, 2 sets of siblings. And I think the government does pay for that and the legal costs, and I think there's no problem with that. Those are kids that need homes. They're in the system, and they need to be taken care of. So I have zero problem with that. Those are kids that have been born already, and for whatever reason, their parents are on drugs or whatever. Their parents cannot take care of them, and they need to be given a home. I don't see that the same as this. This is an elective procedure that women do that are either over 30, usually they're older, or they just, have issues getting pregnant. I know people that have done it. It's expensive. And it's not fun, from what I understand, for the mother. And I know people are very desperate to have children, and I think that's a good thing. But I don't think the government should be paying for it, and I don't think that insurance companies should be forced to pay for this. Maybe I'm wrong on that issue, but I don't like the government. I don't like the word mandate. So I have to disagree with him on this issue.
But you know what, though? Now this is...
I don't know, changed my mind. Maybe I'm wrong.
When our daughter was born, we adopted her the day after she was born, okay? And at the time, I had health insurance through my employer, okay? I had Blue Cross Blue Shield through my employer.
Yeah.
And even though she was adopted, according to the law, she was immediately covered under my employee
because we
insurance
became
policy.
Parents, right.
Okay. And I got her on it immediately. Our daughter was born, how premature was she?
7 weeks. So she was in the NICU for 7 weeks.
So for almost 2 months.
Which is expensive.
She was in the NICU was the intensive care unit for the newborns, right? Yeah. And she was, she's 25. So that was 1999. That was over $200,000.
She was 2.5 pounds when she was born, our daughter.
So the insurance company,
it was a lot.
We did an adoption,
right?
Which is a choice. You go out, you do it, and all this stuff. That was over $250,000 for that 2 months in the hospital, and the insurance company had to pay that,
right?
And they did.
Well, obviously, that's what insurance companies do.
Well, that's so.
But that wasn't elective. She would have died.
No.
She would,
it was. We elected to adopt her. It wasn't.
No, but she would have been in the NICU no matter what.
You were not. Well, I'm just telling you how the insurance worked. Okay, you were not even on my insurance policy because you got your own insurance. It was just an individual insurance policy I had as an employee at the time, and I added her to it. The day after she was born, and they had to pay, $250,000. Okay, that we elected to adopt her. So the thing about the IVF, I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion on it.
Yeah.
Trump said, I'm not going to disagree with Trump on anything ever. I don't think this is something worthy of getting all upset about that some people are.
No, I agree, and some people are, and I agree it's not worth getting upset about.
But there's a bigger picture here. What Trump said is true. That we're not having enough babies born in America, and we need to have more children. And with all this gender and sexuality thing that's going on, our birth rate has severely declined. Yeah. And when your birth rate and your death rate are almost equal, and the births aren't going up, eventually they're gonna both be the same, and then the death will be more than the births, and then you've lost your civilization.
Well, the left are trying desperately to make Trump seem that he's not pro-woman, even though they're the one letting men beat up women in sports. And they're really desperate to use this reproductive rights issue against him.
Yeah.
The abortion thing is not getting headway because he just keeps saying it's up to the states, and there's really not anywhere they can go from that. You know what I mean? That's the law of the land. That's the way it is. And he's basically saying, let the states decide. Now, he did say that he has exceptions. He believes in the exceptions, but he said it's up to the states to decide and the voters to decide, which is the right answer.
Yeah.
Every state is different, and the voters should decide what they want in their state. I agree with that totally.
Well,
but the IVF, they were trying to get traction out of this issue because the abortion issue wasn't getting traction. And I agree with you. I don't think it's an issue. The left are trying to make it an issue. And Trump basically just came out and said, I'm for it. But my issue is, and I feel this is Tulsi Gabbard's influence because she told her story about using IVF, of forcing taxpayers to pay for this. I think it's different than what our daughter was going through because she would have been in the NICU no matter what, no matter who her parents were, because she was born premature.
Yeah.
And they had to do it to save her life. You know, she was in an incubator for 7 weeks. So if her birth mother had kept her or another family adopted her, their insurance would cover that. So, but I don't see that as the same as electing to
I think it's similar.
IVF.
Well, the thing with the IVF is it oftentimes it doesn't take. It's very expensive. Very expensive.
Well, that's what I mean. It doesn't take, and and when you store embryos, you have to pay for that every month to store forever. You pay to store your embryos. That's what the cost is. So, what is the government now going to pay for this? And then are they going to get into an area where, do you know how much that's going to explode if the government mandates this? And then you're going to get into an area where you have so many embryos. What do you do with all these embryos? Are they going to store them like on the Ghostbusters in like a machine? That's awful. And then, this is a new thing. But like I said, it's not a deal breaker. It should not be a deal breaker for anybody. It should not even be an issue for anybody.
Now, the other thing,
the economy and the border are what you should be thinking about.
The other thing they're misrepresenting Trump on is Trump did not come out in favor of legalizing marijuana. I know people are saying that. That's not what happened.
Clarify that.
In Florida, legalizing recreational marijuana is on the ballot. And what happens, Democrats put a lot of wackadoodle left-wing things on ballots. They think it helps them. Maybe it does. I don't know. What Trump said is that legalizing recreational marijuana is going to pass. So he's seen the polls. It's going to pass.
Right.
So he wants to get involved in how it's going to be handled.
I see.
And how it's going to be regulated. So there's some control over it. That's
it shows you how things get misinterpreted because everybody was, even Jack Posobiec was tweeting that Trump's for legalizing
he said it's going to
marijuana.
pass, so we have to talk about how it's going to be handled after it is.
Yeah.
He's not advocating for it.
I'm not sure what I'm voting on that yet. I don't like marijuana to be so easily available.
It seems pretty easy to get now. Why do we need to take it to another level?
My best friend lives in Utah. Her sister lived in Colorado, okay? And she had a teenage daughter. 2 teenage daughters at the time when they lived in Denver. And marijuana had just been legalized like a couple years prior. And she said it's everywhere. It's like Amsterdam. It smells. You can't get away from the smell. And I hate that smell. And she said it was very available. And they actually moved to Utah because of the problem and because it was so easily available and because they didn't want their children to have access to it because all of their friends were doing it all the time. I mean, kids are dumb enough. So it's a problem. But you could say alcohol is just as bad. Alcohol inhibits you affects you. People drive while they're drunk. It's regulated, but kids still get out.
Yeah,
you still got booze in high school. My friends got booze in high school.
If you guys remember, though, when a lot more people used to smoke and smoking was everywhere. In fact, when Kathy and I were in high school, there were smoking sections for students at the high school.
Yeah, I smoked in high school. I used to go to the smoking section.
We had a smoking section that was
it was awesome.
I did not smoke ever. Okay, Kathy did. I didn't smoke.
In high school, yeah.
I never was a smoker, thankfully. But we had a smoking section for students at the high school. Yeah. And that's the way it used to be, by the way.
Yeah, ours was across the street. We all went there.
Oh, ours was on school property. It was on school property.
Our school wasn't that bad. Yeah, You're kidding. We had to go across the street.
No, I'm serious. There was a smoking section
on
campus.
That's hilarious.
It was where the school buses drop off students. And there was a section there, and it was on school property.
How many kids were hanging out there?
It was a lot.
Were the teachers there too?
No, they smoke in the teacher's lounge, I guess. But no, it was actually on school property.
That's crazy.
My stepfather, when he went to high school here in Florida, they actually had a smoking lounge in a room at his high school.
Yeah, that's the 70s and 60s. There you
go.
That's
the 70s in Florida.
The 70s.
So
yeah.
So and I remember when I know people still smoke, but not like it used to be.
Well, now they all vape. Now the kids all vape.
I remember everywhere you used to go, people were smoking. And if you have recreational like marijuana that we can go buy joints and stuff, I really don't feel like smelling that everywhere I go.
No, I hate that smell. That's what I'm worried about. So are you going to vote no?
I'm going to vote no on it. Yeah, I mean, it seems to me to be readily available. You can get CBD and all that stuff now.
You can get medical marijuana in Florida.
Yeah, but you can get like the CBD. You can have it you
can get
mailed
CBD
to you.
with a little bit of THC in that, up to 5 milligrams mailed to you. But there are a lot of elderly. I think it's going to pass. There's a lot of elderly people in South Florida, okay, that live with pain.
Well, the senior citizens,
other health issues.
Well, okay, this is on the ballot in Florida. This is what Trump was talking about, legalizing marijuana. The senior citizens of today, the ones that are in their 80s and 70s and 80s, and even 90s.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
They're all the old 60s hippies.
Yes, it's definitely going to pass.
They're in their 80s and 90s now.
That's right.
But they were the hippies in the 60s.
They've been waiting for this for 50 years.
And that's exactly. Yeah. So the seniors are all going to vote for it.
You knew a guy who worked his whole life to make marijuana legal in Florida, and he dropped dead about 3 years ago, so he'll never see the day. But he did see the legalization of medical marijuana. There are dispensaries in our neighborhood.
There's two in our neighborhood.
Do they write the prescription, or do you have to get it from a doctor?
They have doctors there. I don't know if they give it to you there, or if they say, I don't know.
So what's going to happen to them? Are they just going to turn into regular dispensaries because you won't need a prescription anymore?
I have always thought that eventually, not with this, but eventually the tobacco companies are going to start selling marijuana cigarettes like they sell like cigarettes now. That's eventually what'll happen, I think.
Like a box full of rolled up joints.
You get a pack of
I could see that.
Marlboro marijuana or something.
I'm surprised they haven't done that already.
That's the long-term goal because the tobacco has such a bad connection to it now. Eventually that's what I think will happen. But that's what Trump said. Now I want to tell you.
So you're going to vote no.
I'm going to vote no on it. Yeah, cuz I think it's going to pass, but
I hate that smell.
I just don't want to smell it everywhere. And, when I go to work in the morning, I've always had this happen because I've always had to go to work early in the morning. And there's not a week that goes by that I'm not at a light and a car pulls up to me and I can smell it. People, and it's illegal. I know it's always illegal to drive doing it.
We've had neighbors that have smoked. Our old neighbor smoked it all the time.
It was awful.
And that smell would just come right over the bushes. And
I hated it.
Ugh. It's awful.
The number of people smoking marijuana, if that passes, it'll skyrocket in
That's
Florida.
what my friend said that lived in Colorado. Said it was so bad they left.
It'll be nuts.
Yeah, the smell was everywhere.
And I know people. Now, this discussion, you notice I don't have this on the show when I'm doing calls because what happens is all the stoners call and they just want to talk about how great marijuana is.
Well, it is on the ballot, and Trump did talk about it, so that's the reason we brought it up.
It's a topic I don't normally talk about, but since we're not taking calls on the podcast, I'm talking about it. It is very bad news. I understand, and I'm not disagreeing with the benefits of marijuana medicinally. I understand that. But let's face it, most of these people just want to get stoned. It's not for medical reasons.
Well, yeah, if we didn't have medical marijuana, I would probably vote yes.
Which we have.
But we do have that. But I'm curious if you guys know how that works. Do you have to go and get a prescription there? Like, do you see a doctor there?
Yeah.
Or can you come in with your own prescription?
I don't know how it works. I have no idea.
That's why I asked the audience.
Yeah, you guys can let us know.
Curious.
You guys can let us know how it works.
Because there is a couple in our neighborhood, actually.
Now, I want to talk about Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing, who will never sell you a roof you do not need. If you're in the state of Florida and you have a leak in your roof or you need a roof replacement, whether it's residential or commercial, call Tom Laporta. I'm going to give you his number in a moment, which rings directly to his cell phone. You can call or text, but you should call him. He covers the entire state of Florida. It is rainy season, hurricane season. In fact, today... this morning, I was going to get up and take the MAGA scooter out, my Vespa. I was going to ride down to Miami, but it's hurricane rainy season. We've had hard rain and thunderstorms all day long, so I've been stuck inside, and that's the way it is.
Yeah, it's been raining.
That's
all
the way
time.
it is. Yeah, and a lot of you are new to Florida. I don't think people that are new to Florida understand. If you've got a wet spot on your ceiling, you've got a leak in your roof, and if you have a leak in your roof, whether it's shingle or tile or any other type of roof, you've got an entryway for the wind, and when the hurricanes come, the winds of the hurricanes are looking for an entryway into your home, and they find a leak in your roof. Boom, the air gets under there, it rips the whole roof off. That's how that happens. So Tom Laporta, as I say, he works with every type of structure, both residential and commercial, and with every type of roofing material there is. If you have an HOA or you live in a condo and have a condo board, he has an expertise working with homeowners associations and condo boards. That is, he could make I've told Tom Laporta, he could have a whole business just dealing with HOAs and condo associations.
That has got to be...
It's a difficult thing, and he's mastered
I know we
it.
had issues with trying to put up a fence, but if you got somebody who can advocate for you, where you don't have to deal with it.
You're not even involved in it.
And having a home down here, especially if you're a new home buyer, and if you moved to Florida and you are concerned because it is hurricane season, it rains a lot, have him come out, take a look. If you have any issues, if you're worried, if you see tiles missing, or there's, like you said, you think there might be something leaking, down here, a roof is the most important part of your home. You could trim your bushes and paint the walls and do this and that and maintain your house.
Yep.
But if you don't have a good, solid roof, all that is for nothing. It is probably the most important part of your home in South Florida because of the weather.
And here's Tom Laporta's number. Again, he's a good MAGA guy. He will never sell you a roof you do not need. If you need a simple repair, he'll do it. 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. That's 954-604-4602. We're out of time for today, but thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll talk to you next time.